Hello, Abby. How you doing? Okay, I've got your Mother Teresa front and back up, and part of this is going to be review because I already talked about the back. It looks like you still have the same back that you did submitted. I already talked about that in grading without the front though. So some of this will be review, but that's cool. That's okay. Okay, so we've got a couple of things going on here. Let's start with the front. I think the front is good. I think the piece is good itself. It's a very good piece. Typographically, you're right in there. Very, very good work. There's a couple of things I think that we should do here. Now let's take a look at the front cover, and there's a few things that I think that we look at. We say, what do we really need here? What don't we need? What's happening with the piece? Okay, and I think that there's two things that are happening with the piece that don't need to be happening. I think you're trying to reinforce this horizontal nature of the piece. Now, Mother and Teresa are both taking on a horizontal compositional form in this piece, as is Saint on Earth, Saint in Heaven. I think you're trying to reinforce that by adding these horizontal rules. Don't need them. Those are they're going to be phantom rules anyways. They're there. The eye fills that in itself. You don't need to help the viewer by adding that line or that line or that line or that line. All that's doing is separating things and not allowing the composition to breathe with itself. Okay. For these reasons, I recommend removing that rule and that rule there, okay? And then remove that rule and that rule. Then the next thing we see is we see this composition where you have this wonderful Mother Teresa composition here, okay? Then you have Saint on Earth, Saint in Heaven, just placed center. So what you have is you have this eye movement that goes like this, okay? Starting here, you take this, and then come back like this. And we have this movement where it's going like this, then it's coming back like this. Or let me see if you can see my hands. It's going like this, then coming back like that. This whole thing goes like this, then comes back like that to get to the subhead. For this reason, I think that we can reduce the eye movement here by just reducing the size of that and placing it right here under Mother Teresa. So that whole thing has kind of a natural slant. And the Mother Teresa's basically pointing right to Saint on Earth, Saint in Heaven. I'd say span that between, let's say that the area between the R and the A, which means you'll have to reduce that size, but it's okay. Next thing and final thing I have really with the front is that the color of Teresa, it's such stark white, and yeah, I get it. I get why you're doing it. But right now, if you take a look at, like, if you back off and you move back about 8 feet from your computer and take a look at the monitor, and you'll see the white is so white that it's just really, really advancing in the composition. It's advancing, I think, too much in terms of its relationship with the other type on the page. And you'll see what I mean when you get up and walk to the other side of the room and look at your screen. Now, I understand that presents a problem because that's the same white as that, which is the same white as that. So I get why you're doing it. The answer might be to lighten that color a little bit and think about lightening that color, or maybe, well, work with it and see what you mean. You'll see what I mean once I point it out to you. You'll see, oh yeah, that Teresa is really, really advancing in the composition, while Mother is really receding in the composition. So maybe try to even those out in terms of their focal point, their focal depth. Okay, let's move to the next page. Now this page, I think, again, good piece. You've done something on this page that you haven't done on this page, and then you're starting to bleed the headline. And I don't know if you want to do that. I would say instead of bleeding that, because it's different, it might as well be a different typeface, because with that swash off the page, it looks like a different typeface. The M looks totally different. For that reason, I would reduce that headline size to fit it in there. Almost try to think of the relationship that this has with the corner of the page and think about how you can duplicate that sort of negative space relationship, right? Right now, in essence, I'm saying this is too large. Typography is fantastic. It has your rags look great, no widows, no orphans, no hyphens to speak of. There's one here and there, but certainly fine. Rags are fantastic. Indents are beautiful. Really great work here. You got a nice baseline grid. Everything's in alignment. Very, very nice work. Basically, you would have what this would amount to. Boy, this isn't quite a 5-column grid because that's not the whole column. But 4 columns with a wide gutter, I guess we could look at it like that. And then the other thing I was saying, and I'm sure that you'll agree once you take a look at it, is right now, if we start from here, everything is just getting pushed to the very edges of the page. You've got no white space at all. That's why you look at this piece and it's almost hard to say, well, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to read this whole piece because there's a lot here. It's not that there's a lot here. You're making it appear as though there's really a lot more by the way that you're pushing everything and not utilizing negative space. For this reason, I would recommend this. Reduce the headline size, as I said. Reduce this whole, move this down, this whole typographic composition here, this whole, move it down, okay? Then take this timeline here and really reduce the heck out of it. Right now, it's enormous. And you know what? Really good practice. This is 11 by 17, very workable size. Print this out at home or go to Kinko, shoot up to Kinko's and print it out. Print it out in black and white, but you'll see this type is just enormous. Very, very overpowering. You're going to hold this in your hand. You're going to look at that type and go, wow, that's really big. So for that reason, I would really reduce the heck out of this whole timeline here. Bring it down so it's like the top of it's right there. Really reduce it. You can actually even take the 3 lines, reduce those, and then you can even take that top line and move up off it instead of moving down, so you can have a little bit more room up there and don't have to stretch this thing so it's almost halfway into the composition for your timeline. What I'm getting at, of course, is negative space and your lack of use of negative space. I think that you really, really want to give your viewer some areas, give the eye some areas to rest in the composition. It'll be much more inviting. All right, awesome job. Any questions, comments at all, please let me know. Thank you.